Council voted to drastically scale back its peacekeeping force in the Central African country. The Council reduced the troops there from 1,700 to 270.
The UN stands condemned for pulling out of Rwanda as the fighting started, leaving the country in the hands of killers wielding machetes.
What surprised us the most is that it's during the killings that they decided pulling out. And it was very bad. People were fleeing from the town of Kigali to go to Butare to seek refuge. Butare, they only started killing after the speech that was made by the interim president. And the speech was only about the people who didn't dare start killing, who have fear of killing.
Tuzabacira rwose bari abatutsi ubwo bagiye bakiga imbunda bazatumara. Tuzibwire ko twazibwiye ko tuzazirwanya tukazitsinda.
I remember when it started, they even had to bring some of the militia members to help the population start killing. It's like launching the killings of the people in Butare.
Mugomba no kumenya kwirwanaho. Niyo mpamvu twasabye ko abaturage batozwa ibya gisirikare bagashirika ubwoba. Ntabwo imbunda ari umusirikare gusa. Umuntu yashaka kugira imbunda ye. Barasa nawe ukabarasa ko ufite yawe. Nanjye mba nyifite. Buri gihe. Ngiye.
My family was in Butare. It was a big family, made of 6 sisters. One of them was married. She had 2 kids and her husband, and 5 young girls. One at secondary school, the others were still at the primary school, and my father and my mother. And then I have my aunts, my uncles, and my grandparents. They all died in Butare. My parents were killed in April, but my sisters were killed around June. They were raped during the whole period of the genocide before they killed them. My dad was hacked to death. They buried him, they left his head outside, he was eaten by dogs. When I learned everything else, it went beyond me. Yeah. It's not acceptable, Edith. It's not acceptable. You cannot believe, you cannot believe, you cannot accept being told your mother was naked when they found her dead body. It's not acceptable to be told that your father was buried and his head out and eaten by dogs. Yeah. It's complicated.
Or a view as to whether or not what is happening could be genocide?
Well, as I think you know, the use of the term genocide has a very precise legal meaning, although it's not strictly a legal determination. There are other factors in there as well. When in looking at a situation to make a determination about that, before we begin to use that term.
Curiosity, given that so many people say that there is genocide underway or something that strongly resembles it, why wouldn't this convention be?
Well, I think, as you know, this becomes a legal definitional thing, unfortunately, in terms of as horrendous as all these things are, there becomes a definitional question.
In the end, the only thing that stopped the killing was Tutsi rebel soldiers who took their fates into their own hands. It was this recognition that if we don't act, nobody will. And one does really wonder if they had trusted international promises and negotiations and deliberations, whether or not there'd be any Tutsi left at all. What you see in case after case after case among victims is a sense that the best way to guard against the recurrence of these crimes is to take up arms yourself.
It happened to the Armenians, and after the Armenians got a very rough deal at the Versailles Conference because the criminals who were guilty of genocide were not punished. You know that they've organized a terroristic organization, which took justice in our own hands. I thought that crime should not be punished by the victims, but should be punished by court, by international law.
والله وكي جنتنا دنا لي دنا جويرتلي إما ما أراد من هذا التاريخ هم قبل شهرين كي عايزين تتذكر أن عشان نتمن ونرجع نرجع كي
كاو سرداس كيا كلا كاو سرداس كيا كلا أنا كي بس أنت على إنه هنا كاكو بسوا كبس أنت كويري ما أكبر كنا كلنا من إنكو غروني ما ساجوس نانتي جالس كذا كارلا يا دي سكوا بدي تو بدي بريسيني تاي تكا أروس أكل سواس أرنون تري بس وسكوا أمنا برسيلا رأتوي بورتري سوا فوسالوا takwa kuigi wo mer ti ikusriga ta ku ni dra ta ku kirati anadle ga bura sha da ke sanda tako
وعلى حسب ودي قلنا ما نقول سيادات أنا رأوي ويلي ماما تيرا عمره زي 8 سنين وياسين جاي عمره 17 سنة حركة يقرأ بلي يلي توكنا سه ما مثل إمسا ياسين جالس ويا يلوجي وستي حركة لا إلي كودي عمره أكل يعني إلي كودي ويا إني مثلا هاي أنا كاي لازم ياسين يكسر وكل الدنيا ما كده كله أجلس وقاعد جيوني لسه كسر برا ياسين كله نيجا كيدو كله نيجا بيتار تجيب تسيبني
ini mau kerja mana jiran no serano kena no kwana lira kwani no ngene ke beri mo be ande jinu ke gelo
kudune jayar uleji kare tintumina no ale banage no okela tegeli jobe charge no aje makere au ndiro kere guru bara na diri
Getting the Genocide Convention passed was just the first of many political battles Lemkin would have to fight. There were governments that didn't want to interfere in the internal affairs of sovereign states, but also this kind of convention would curb governments' relationship with their own citizens. While Lemkin was waging this crusade, he met skepticism from all sides. The journalist of the New York Times, who Lemkin had badgered for years, said, Lemkin, come on, you okay, congrats, you got the law passed, but I mean, is it really gonna make any difference? And Lemkin said, only man has law. We must build the law. Lemkin understood that the most important country in terms of enforcement would be the United States. For the United States to turn its back on the convention, it would render it nothing more, in fact, than a piece of paper with a lot of small governments' well wishes upon it, but not with the engine of global diplomacy behind it. You had Lemkin testifying or meeting with members of Congress and them saying, who are you to talk to us about what we should be doing, you with your broken English? What business is it of yours to be telling us what we should be putting in our law books? So of course, his point is, it's precisely, that's what we mean by a crime against humanity. It is a crime that affects all of us. It's precisely your business when this number of people are targeted for destruction. Lemkin was so exasperated because he was pushing water uphill. He realized that the system won't lie. The system is predicated on national interests, and that's what it will observe. There were a lot of people who said, Lemkin, you're more naive than any of us thought if you think that one piece of paper is going to change the nature of states.
Is it possible to ask you whether you think there's going to be any last-minute blockages that might stop your case going to the judges today? No, absolutely not. Okay.
When I collect the evidence enough to present the case against President Bashir, I knew there was no state supporting me. But if I do nothing, I don't bother others, but I fail in my mission. So I had no options. I had to do my case knowing that it would be alone.
Well, for all the desire to see justice done, there are many out there, including within the UN itself, who feel that this is a bad idea. They fear retaliation and retribution. They worry about it stoking further conflict in Darfur. In other words, those twin objectives of peace and justice in Darfur may turn out to be completely incompatible.
The chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court is expected to ask the court to issue arrest warrants against Omar al-Bashir and other senior Sudanese officials.
He scheduled a news conference in The Hague. U.S. officials, meantime, are appealing for calm, clearly worried about a backlash after this coming Monday's announcement.
Marino Ocampo is a determined man. This is a man who's got a bit of a habit of taking on the rich and powerful. In his youth in Argentina, he took on the military elite and he brought several members to trial. But this time, he's really got his work cut out.
The court doesn't have a police force that it will send out to Sudan to arrest President Bashir. There is almost no enforcement mechanism. Instead, there will be a question amongst members of the UN Security Council about what steps they take next and what changes on the ground in Sudan.
I just submit an application requesting an arrest warrant against Omar Hassan Ahmad al-Bashir for genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. The judges will assess the evidence. They will decide. If the judges issue an arrest warrant and the Sudanese government reject to implement the measure, then Security Council has to analyze how to ensure compliance with the court decision. What happened in Darfur is the consequence of al-Bashir will. We don't need to wait. We don't need to wait until he finish his work. These people are waiting for our protection. Thank you very much.
The pending ICC indictment against Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir has raised fears of a violent backlash against aid workers and peacekeepers in Darfur.
The UN gave orders to pull out all non-essential staff.
Sudan's ambassador to the UN told CNN the charges demonstrate Moreno Ocampo's professional and legal bankruptcy.
مش عقوبات مجلس الامن. لو جيشت الجيوش وقفت على باب الخرطوم الان كويس عشان اسلم مواطن ما حسلم مواطن وعشان كده الشعب السوداني عايز البشير.
Mr. Moreno Ocampo, thank you very much indeed.
My pleasure.
What do you say to people who accuse the ICC of being an active impediment to peace?
The decision to investigate the case was taken by the Security Council. It's not my decision to investigate the case.
Do you seriously expect him to be arrested and brought to The Hague?
My responsibility here is to do the judicial part.
Many say it's a nice gesture, but it will never happen.
The world is talking about never again. It's time to put in practice.
I wonder if you think that the ultimate success of a court case like this will actually rest with Russia and China because of the power they wield within the United Nations.
I wonder if you feel you've failed the countless victims whose very rights this court was set up to protect.
What difference is it going to make? Who's going to arrest him?
Do you realistically believe President al-Bashir will be brought to The Hague?
You realistically believe we can ignore a genocide?
I don't disagree with the justness of your work, but I don't understand how it has a practical effect in Sudan.
4 years of searching for evidence of atrocities in Darfur, the prosecutor now finds himself on trial. He's forced to defend a legal action which the Security Council right here asked him to carry out, but now seems reluctant to support.
The International Criminal Court has filed genocide charges against the president of Sudan. The country's information minister said that Sudan does not recognize the International Criminal Court and refuses to obey any decision or order it issues.
We are going to ignore it fully. For us, ICC doesn't exist.
In the past, Interpol has issued so-called red notices for fugitives wanted by the court. That means they should be arrested anytime they attempt to cross an international border.
Sudan's President Omar al-Bashir, currently wanted on charges of genocide, has received a red carpet welcome in China. Bashir and the Chinese President Hu Jintao signed agreements to further develop economic ties. China is already the biggest buyer of Sudanese oil.
What Bashir has been doing is writing a textbook for defiance of the Security Council. Now the question is what will be the next chapter in that textbook and whether or not the Security Council is willing to assume its responsibility.
Mr. President, there is no information to believe that the crimes against humanity and genocide have stopped. Those who bear the greater responsibility have been indicted. The current challenge is their arrest. Council members have to reconcile their national interests with their responsibilities for peace and security. To execute the arrest warrant issued by the International Criminal Court. The victims
will receive a message. They are not ignored. And the perpetrators will receive a different, clear message. There will be no impunity. Thank you very much, President.
我感谢
I
路易
thank
斯
Prosecutor
莫里诺
Moreno Ocampo
奥坎波
for
检
his
察官
briefing.
所做的通报。摩洛哥代表的发言，我下面请美国代表发言。
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the prosecutor's 15th report to the Security Council on the situation in Darfur. We call on the international community to ensure that the cycle of violence comes at last to a close. Thank you, Mr. President.
والتوجيه الآن إحنا ما عايزين أي حشرة، ما عايزين أي حشرة في النيل الأزرق، ما عايزين أي حشرة في جبال النوبة. عايزين إن شاء الله قبل بداية الخريف عبد الرحيم يدينا التمام أنه أرض السودان خالية من أي حشرة سامة إن شاء الله.
People are very scared. Obviously, there's fighting going on, but that's not the main issue. People are being hunted down for their ethnicity.
One of the things Lemkin said was, this convention is like a ship carrying survivors. It cannot be allowed to sink. And yet, Lemkin had to watch this ship that he had built kind of plank by plank sink into the muck of politics.
He was not defending one community. He was trying to defend the world, and it's difficult. The idea to defend universal values in the universe, that is complicated.
Lemkin's health by the early 1950s was very frail, living off half sandwiches that people had given him, not sleeping at all as he wrote these letters. His entire soul was invested in this cause.
Once you survived, either you become desperate. You say life is not worth being lived. Or you say, I have to succeed. And once you've determined to do that, you continue working. It's like a sickness. You cannot avoid it. It comes in you like that. It becomes your life. I mean, you smile, but something in you is dead.
The guy has a strategy so clear. He had a vision. And interestingly, he died ignored, no? He died ignored. No one cared about him. He died with a feeling of frustration.
Lemkin died in 1959. He was standing at a bus stop waiting for a bus to take him to the United Nations for yet another meeting. He was still trying to get other countries to live up to their promise, to live up to the commitment. He wasn't living with anybody, so it took time for someone to come and identify his body. A funeral was held for him, but fewer than a dozen people turned up to mourn his loss. The man who tried to prevent genocide and who had done so much for so many died almost as anonymously as his own parents did. have a photo of Lemkin in my office at the National Security Council. Sometimes I look over at him and think the crimes that motivated him are still motivating people all these years later. It's chastening in some ways to realize how long it takes to build the kind of bureaucratic structures and to put in place the kinds of concrete policy tools that he was advocating, more than 60 years ago. Every day, Syrians are dying by artillery, by air power, by Scuds. This monstrous conflict has to come to an end.
No solution has ever been found by retaliating. I don't think of revenging myself. I'm capable of doing it. I can be capable of doing it. But if you are perpetrating hatred, it means you are exposing your children. You are exposing the children of your children. You see, it's kind of a spiral killing which is going to go on and on and on, and we never finish it. I think at a certain time we have to stop and say, we stop here. We cannot go on. This is the only way I can go forward.
The only way to stop atrocities is to stop war making. There has never been and never will be a war without all of the horrors and all of the atrocities I have seen in war. So how do you stop it from happening again? They're not ready. They're not ready. Maybe I get some of them ready. If I get some of them, it's a little bit. I just do the best I can, and I will continue as long as I can. I can't stop.
Lemkin was helping me with the idea obstacles are the test of my moral strength. That's it. Okay, it's a test for me. I had to manage this. That's it. We are a little piece in a long historical process, trying to improve how we live together in this world. So that's it. That's the idea to have a global community. The idea of, okay, my community is also my world, not just my neighborhood or my country.
I think the hardest part about my position is that I have great visibility into a lot of the pain that's out there. It's not someone else's responsibility, or it's not the fodder for an article. It's the fodder for thinking through what we can do about it. You exhaust the tools at your disposal. And I always think about the privilege of, of getting to try, just to try.
At the Tycho Brahe.
I
I
want
want
them
them
to
to look at the Tycho Brahe, Carrie's Tycho Brahe.
Oh, the door, the sign
The
on the
door. It's been there for 30-some years.
Yeah, here rests Tycho Brahe.
Here lies Tycho Brahe
Ad infinitum.
infinitum.
Let me tell you a story. Tycho Brahe, an astronomer who felt that he wanted to find out the meaning of the universe. So he persuaded the king in power that he should build him an astronomical laboratory on the island of Ven. And there he built his observatory. And every night he went out and he viewed the stars and he put them down in a chart. And he had done that for about 25 years. New king came on the throne. They said, look, we've got something going on there near Elsinore. So the treasury people came out and they said, old man, wake up, wake up. The king wants to know what you've been doing here for these last 25 years. Oh, he said, I've been watching the skies. Watching the skies? What for? He said, well, I make a chart, and I have 97 volumes, exact. Each one I've measured myself, and I can tell you the movement of every one of those stars. Well, what's the use of it? What do you intend to do with that? He said, I hope to live to get 100. 100 volumes of the same thing? What's the utility? What can you do with that? Well, he said, I admit that I was trying to find out the meaning of the universe, and I haven't found it yet. But I believe that someday somebody will, and I will have saved that person 25 years of labor. And when the American astronauts landed on the moon, they had with them the tables of Tycho. So there it is. It's an inspirational story, The Watcher of the Sky. I am watching the sky. That's it.